Good morning. I'm bringing this over to Facebook. Hey, girl, what are you doing? Who's up? Ooh, I just feel a bunch of consistency showing up. Let's go. Live group. Go live. Yay, we're live streamed. Okay. Hello and welcome. Good morning. I'm gonna get ready, hang out and chat, and then do a little bit of planning for the day of the week. I am in the process. I'm just gonna list this out here. I'm actually gonna write it as I do this because I'm gonna see that I capture what I need when I speak. I'm in the process of launching the Real Life Whole Life app. I'm so excited. What I see as the core of the Real Life Whole Life app is support. And what I see too is support when it comes to struggling and suffering. And I see them as two different things. Just a second. Hanker, can we not? With the traumatic event I went through, I have been exploring in the deep end a lot, and I have been struggling and suffering to a great extent. I'm privileged to an extent that I know, and what honestly inspired me to go so boldly into this space that I did, to truly feel the depths of my suffering and my struggling. I've never once suffered or struggled to the degree that I have. And then on top of that, I chose to go publicly on my personal Instagram page, sharing all of my internal dialogue, thoughts, feelings, experiences, opinions. I live my life out as a spectacle. I went through my traumatic event. I'm working to not bring that here. For those that are interested or want to know more, I am Jenna Michelle is my Facebook, and then the Jenna Michelle Show on YouTube will get you there. So I've really created two little worlds. Quite honestly, I created I am Jenna Michelle online because of me needing care for my well-being, my sanity, and my heart. Quite honestly, what I'm discovering inside of this is this concept of mental health. We talk like mental health and deconstructing the word, and with being autistic and literal, mental health doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I try to understand it. Mental means mind, and mind is a non-physical, I had notes the other day, non-physical, like, doesn't exist in the reality. So the mind is this, what I see too as consciousness. Like, it can't be pointed to, dissect, or understood. Like, it's this non-physical thing, and we don't have the concepts or the constructs or understand what even mind is. So with that, we want to say mental health, and we don't even know what we're talking about. That's how I experience mental health. It might not be for you. Mental health may be a word that you love and live in, and it works for you, and you're always, working to create mental health. For me, it doesn't work. So I'm stuck with my linguistic shifts of like, make it make sense. I don't understand. And I find the gift of, for me, my literal autistic brain and body and nervous system, because I'm like, I can't just accept something as what you said. And why I have discovered, for me, it was like, I had ADHD, I had an ADHD brain, and now being unmasked autistic, I'm in the space of, I am autistic. Like, I can't undo that. While I don't believe I can undo ADHD either, I believe it's a spectrum of being neurodivergent. And currently, in my experience so far, I've been experiencing like days where I am more ADHD based on the trauma experience, suffering, struggling, and then other days where I'm in the autistic bucket where like all things are firing. I'm very literal, like OCD, which I never was. Like, that's what I want to come back to in this experience too, is I never experienced myself in the way that I am, which taps into, for me, what I experience as being autistic. And this component too, I like to say this also, is if I don't have the ADHD symptoms and I experience myself as autistic and in the world of desiring to stay self-diagnosed, what if I'm not, the brain wants to do that. What I'm left with is, am I a neurotypical masking as a neurodivergent? Like, is that physically possible on the planet? So if that's physically possible on the planet, then I can explore that route. I just don't think that's actually possible. So I'm left with, that's the only bucket I fit in. And all of my friends fit in that bucket too. And if you're listening to my stuff, there might be a part of you that lives with that question mark in your brain too. And I don't want to have us be like, oh, well, now that I am here. And so I'm in the space of, how do we all come together and discover what's up? I've said the term neurosoupy because I don't know what this is going on. I don't want to figure it out. And I find, for me, with my literal brain, I want to figure it out. Like, it's painful to be in the space where it doesn't make sense. It's painful to not have it figured out. It's painful to have that open loop. And quite honestly, I see an open loop as a closed loop that you're hooked on. So with that, I desire to discover how to own this experience that I see as being neurodivergent. I don't understand the other buckets of being neurodivergent. And I know the other term that comes up is being on the spectrum. So what I'm left with is the desire to have this conversation with people. So I'll put that here. We've got distracted. So we're creating sticky notes. Good morning. I'm creating my worlds. Okay, so one is convo around what is real and how we define, describe us so we can be complete. So I don't know about you. Well, one thing for me that's really important, well, just in the world of being a mess autistic, energy impacts me massively. So and again, this, like, someone says something and it like translates in my body, like it's an instantaneous reaction. I experience something, and just the way in which the senses are there, like, like a smell changes in the room and my whole body is altered. And so there's an experience of like, or even too, it's like, oh, that's a blue sticky and not an orange sticky, then that creates an impact over here. And then like this or that, or the variables at play and the way in which each variable plays out, like, is so robust. And so what I'm left with is wanting to play around with this conversation. So I'm saving that because that's something I want to play around with. What I see too is topics that we all come together on and say, like, share what's real for you. What do you believe? That lights me up. I don't know about you. That lights me up so much. That lights me up so much. And just being in this, holding this space of all these people, like, I want to say this, I want to say this. And quite honestly, what I'd love to learn is how to create dialogue and how to learn how to communicate in a way that owns what works for us, owns what we believe, without projecting, creating division. That's what I actually desire. And so, yeah, that's one topic that I want us to come around and play around with, because yes, the DSM and people who do not have ADHD and do not have a neurodivergent brain, do not have autism, are defining the very experience that we have. Yes, that is real. And there is a book that I come back to over and over again that has a picture of the autistic brain and the neurotypical brain and the ways in which it's different. I see that, and being hypersensitive, I'm like, that is my brain. Like, there's no way that's not my brain. If you lived inside of my brain, you'd be like, that's her brain. If you live inside of my life, I think you'd say, that is her brain. That makes sense. Look at her, where she's at, and all the things. So with that, I get excited. I'm so excited. Happy New Year. Good morning. I was going to do my makeup here, and I'm liking this chit chat. So what shows up is real. I desire to show up here, and I desire to launch my app. So back to that. So support on the app. Inside of that right now, what I have formulated and working on is my book will be in there. So today, I am recording the first chapter to put it in there so that I can submit it to get approved. I was working towards January 1st to have that be the launch of everything. And I'm discovering in perfect timing, radical alignment, the world works always. It didn't happen on the 1st. And so I'll share what's real here. How I work through that is I pushed really hard in December. My mind was really hooked on like December or January 1st, January 1st this will be the day. It's all perfect. And it'll launch in 2023. It's so perfect. It's so perfect. And then I sat down and was reflecting. I'm like, okay, I didn't go. And it takes about 10 days for the app to go. And I still have some stuff to finish for the book and like all this stuff. And I'm like, I failed is the communication language I'm in. And what I'm left with is, did I fail? Who defines that? Because for me, I got like 75% of my book done in December. It's really freaking good. And it took more time, energy, and effort than I expected. And I see with that, the more time, energy, effort I put into it, the more refined it gets. And so I just have a better product. And so it's not wasted. And so the more time it takes, it just gets better. And inside of that, I will say this too, because there's this whole little void that's like, well, I didn't do anything. I sat and did nothing. So 2 things that show up for me. A, I grew, changed, shifted in that period of time. So now the person doing this is a more aligned, progressed person. I have more wisdom I'm coming from. I have more context, I have more experience, I have more to offer in this experience because I did nothing. That was 1. 2, if it was aligned, I would have done it then. So what I experience in my world of radical alignment is this: when I do it, it's perfect. As I will say, and what has been proven is those with ADHD have an interest-based nervous system, and I see it with being autistic. It's even all the more because for me and my experience, I don't want to speak for anyone else, being autistic, it's freaking wild too. And I'm just going to disclose this here with my real life, whole life methodology. How it started in 2020 was like, I have all this energy up here. It's really, really intense. And I got connected to the chakras with my nutrition program, which is energy centers in your body, do what you want with them. All that to say, it was a book I had to read for my nutrition program, and it connected food to chakras and then taught what they meant. And so then I was like, what if I put all this energy into the root area of me and played around with that? So I just like played around with that concept. And then I was like, what if like we live in our head in our society and essentially we just talk this way? And it's just all this energy of talking. Everyone's just talking. And I was like, what if I took all that energy and put it down here, and then it like moved up and I was talking from here? And so for me, and what you'll discover too when I talk about the real life, whole life system, is get rooted in what's true and discover yourself. That's why step 1 is discover yourself. And what most of the app too, for the app, quite honestly, is self-discovery. Because quite honestly, what I'm out to create and what I'm out to do with real life, whole life is simply that. If I tap and connect people into what's true about them, I have to do nothing. That's it. Done. Work is done. Cheers to living an unbelievable life. You've accomplished everything that you need to do. Why I say my bird story too. The concept of once you have the wing of unconditional love, you just take off. And the thing is, you've already been doing the work in that way. So then it's everything you did is not wasted because you've already been doing the work. So I need a hair tie. Which is really exciting. You've already been doing the work. Nothing is wasted. You just get better. And things like this, I want to take the audio, put it on the app, and then you can listen to this if you want. Or not. Again, interest-based nervous system. Did I finish that? Interest-based nervous system. Shifting from I do what I think I'm supposed to do up here to I do what I'm actually interested in. And collapsing multiple tabs open here. In the world of mental health, and health is the standard of a perfection, essentially, is how I see it. So if we have mental, meaning mind, this thing that we can't conceptualize in a way, it's a non-physical thing that we barely understand, and health is a perfection thing. What I see, if I want to actually deconstruct it for myself, is I have perfect mental health. No one can take my mental health away. I can physically be altered in a way where I'm not in alignment with my mental health. That's how I see it. However you want to see out there being. I don't know. Maybe it's not out there. I don't understand. So I want to have conversations around it. I don't understand. There's a ton of theories. The thing is, it's all theories. And so it comes down to what is what makes sense for you and what you want to land on. What do you want to believe? For me, what I believe is my mental health is simply in a space of perfection. I can't stop that. I'm always going to have it. And I have a real lived physical damaged experience that is experiencing stress, suffering, and what's the other word? Struggles. That is not in alignment with my mental health. So with that, or mental health, whatever we want to call it. Because I believe mental health is birthright. Hank, stop. Hank, stop. Look at yourself, please. Thank you. Can't do that. Anyone else? The dogs? There is impact on the alignment to my mental health. Let's put it that way. That's how I see it. Because I'm all about being in an empowered position for me to do something. Because if I'm working on my mental health, I believe there's actually nothing that construct doesn't work. Because then how are you working on something that is invisible and doesn't exist? The mind is something that we cannot conceptualize. And that's where I see, for the mind, is where the brilliant badass lives, quite honestly. That's when we tap into all the where I believe those who are neurodivergent will solve the problems, all the problems of the world and save the planet. That's my belief. Because we have this access to a higher mind, this extreme experience that is so hyper connected and so intense. What stands in the way of that is that we can't live beyond what we believe about ourselves. And in a society, we can't live beyond what the society believes about us. And look at the DSM, look at everything, look at where we're at. How can we ever live further away than where we're at if that's what people believe about us? And I believe in our little silo pockets of community. When I say I solved ADHD, you guys don't think I'm crazy and put me in a psych ward box. You're like, I'm listening. Tell me more. Is that a thing? Because here's what I see. I will say over and over again, ADHD is a well-being disorder that is killing hundreds of thousands of people on the planet. There's two stats I come back to over and over again. Women, 25% in the space of choosing to live or die every day, just in that space, have had an attempt. 25% of women. 25% of those are incarcerated, ADHD. So those stats for me show that ADHD is real, a problem, and is destroying the lives of humans. Those are just there. Add in those that do not have a mortgage, add in those that are unable to work their traditional job, add in the massive amounts of people who have dysregulated systems, impact to mental health, however you see that, impact to access to mental health, maybe. I'm trying to play around with language. So many physical, biological struggles and symptoms. Addiction, outrageous, the number of those that are, if not battling that, or battling addiction. I gotta get this guy to stop licking. You gotta stop. Okay. So when I say I solved ADHD, it's no part of me that says it isn't real. In fact, it says that I believe it's so real. Found it. I believe it's so real, I'm willing to say that and be perceived as crazy. Because what I had as a reflection yesterday is that I'm willing to shake things up and wake people up from the fact that we gotta stop treating people the way that we are, because the world of mental health is never going to result in someone actually being free and well. The way that the system is set up, the way the beliefs are rooted, there's no access to freedom and well-being. Those that are creating stuff outside of the system are making progress and traction. We are not the answer. And yes, people are needing real true support because there's real stuff going on that you don't want to mess with. These two worlds just don't come together. It's a system that you could get stuck and trapped in and trying to find help. And then people who are actually helping out here, and they don't come together. And so where I see is the need for people to come together. That's what I want to keep doing, is come together and really be rooted in unconditional love. So I don't know where I'm going with that. Got a little rampage ranty there. I need to find a hair tie because I'm struggling with my hair. I'll be right back. Okay, I got sticky notes here so I can see what I need. So the app. Support self-discovery. I'm gonna have my book in there, which I'm really excited about, which will formulate so much of what I'm communicating and talking about. I do and am and will. I already have it. I'm just working on formulating it again. Have show up on social, which is a masterclass for neurodivergent content creators. I may have that as a free resource for those that show up on the podcast. And maybe I'll create a mini course. What works for me? And then I would love to, if people want to share what works for them and have that as its own subset on the app. So we could post a bunch of those this second. I love you. You're distracting me. I can't focus with the, can you hear the squeaky ball? You probably can't hear the squeaky ball. I had a dream last night. I was interviewing for this job and this person was so fun and laughing and just like talking about my experience of like, you did that happened, what? And like laughing with me. And I was like, that's what I want to experience life as. I went through a very traumatic event and I have worked through it to the best of my ability and I'm going to continue to work through it every day. Whoa. Hairball for Hanker. And like this ability to be in this energy of fun and freedom and lightheartedness, because for me, if I'm not in that space, the like downward spiral is so strong. And it's not that I don't want to gaslight the real physical pain that I have and gaslight my trauma and gaslight that. That's definitely not what I want to do. I want to hold it. I want to hold that this is real. And I really need to be able to laugh, have fun, and love, because what I'm experiencing is my experience on this 3D, if you want to see it that way, is so traumatic. And so being able to tap into the frequencies of love, joy, life, and experience more is what I'm up to. So that's why I'm showing up right now. What feels like none. I don't know if someone's in the Facebook group. You might be watching me. And really want to tap into that when I come here in the morning. It's just like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. I'm really scared. Quite honestly, I'll be that way too. Because I went through, what's the best way to define it? Okay, here's science that might help people. I went through a series of events that essentially created DMT in my brain organically. That's going to be the best definition I'm going to have. I'm going to work on that. The thing is, I have to show up and say it real and make a big old mess. And then people are like, that doesn't work because this is this and this is this. And everyone tells me all their problems. And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't work. How do I define this? That's the best that I understand. It could be not exactly that. It could be off. As I understand it, I'm out to discover. As the best of my belief and I understand, that's what I did scientifically without getting into the woo spaces. With that, it does something to your pineal gland. And personally, in my lived experience, when I experienced it, I was like, I've been on a 2-year journey to have all the energy in my brain go to my root and like have this whole thing like work, like my real life, whole life methodology. I've been like documenting it and doing all this stuff. And it just essentially enlightened my pineal gland, which is people covet that experience. And people do that experience with, they like seek out that experience, you know, they take a substance, experience this. I talk to people and they're like, yeah, I've done ayahuasca. Their experience sounds like that. I'm like, okay, cool. I was stuck in that state for a week. And then I wanted help because I didn't know what was happening and no one knew what was happening. And everyone just did nothing, just let me run the course of being in this mind-blown, mind-altering state. Which I'm going to shift to say simply, I was aligned to my higher mind in a way that was very clear. Let's put it that way. That's what it was. That's what I believe happens. A concept that I come back to too, is the pineal gland, pine cone, if you research anything around there. I have so one thing with real life, whole life is it's for me all rooted in reality. My desire is to demystify reality and really be like real facts. Like I want to be able to be like, this is science. Like, how can we look at science? The thing is, the mind and so much of what we have is a metaphysical quantum experience, and that's beyond the mind. So it's like this space of like, and also to kind of this concept of real life, whole life. Like, I want to be as real as possible, and there has to be some space to be like, quantum physics, they have all said, is like essentially quantum physics means it's beyond the mind. So like being able to hold the possibilities within quantum physics while being in the very, very grounded real reality. I don't know why I said all that. All that to say, pineal gland, pine cone, if you want to look at that, is this, I see also a way that it's looked at, the seat of the soul, and how we all have everything already inside of us. So that's sometimes too where we have this concept of the mind being out here, which is a thing. We actually all have a little gland inside of our brain that holds everything, like all wisdom, knowledge. And with that, we essentially are remembering what's already there. And there's a whole process of tapping into that. And there's research done around this where it's like there's crystals around your pineal gland, and there's ways in which it can go dormant and not be aware. And so we kind of forget who we are. And then as that comes up online, we become to have more self-expression, become more of who we are, all this kind of stuff. So I don't know what's inside of that. I'm just going to simply say I've been inside of it for 170 some days. And I would love to have my brain checked out to some degree. I'd love to have my whole mental health state checked out to some degree. I've lost my job. And so I don't have the financial means to do that. I'm also in major debt and went through a divorce and just in a space of drowning financially to a degree that I can do absolutely nothing and just eat Tostina's pizzas every day because I don't have the means to do anything. So I desire to launch the app, which will be free, and then desire to launch or other things inside of that so I can have access to other things that will help people support my journey. Because what I'm about to do is solve ADHD. I do have it in quotes. I'm not planning to say that as what I'm doing because that's not my mission. I don't believe I will solve it. I solved it from what I needed internally, emotionally, mentally, so I can be done trying to figure it out. I figured it out. I don't need to do that. Now I can just simply own myself. What I'm left with now is finding how I fit in when it comes to being autistic and self-diagnosed, or not, or what, I don't know. I don't know how to fit because I feel like there's a desire to have credibility. And if I don't have the same ADHD symptoms and experience, like, I just don't know how to do this. Just don't do this. Also, I remember, I think a friend messaged me last night, and I'm gonna look at that. Okay, just a second. Just a second. Dude, can we not eat ourselves? Might have to be tapped out. Do y'all have pets, dogs? Can you do the licking, chopping, all the things? I gotta talk with this dude. I need you to stop eating yourself. Sometimes it's something I'll do too is when I'm struggling really hard, I'm like, I love you so much. Sorry, I'm reading a text. Yeah, I'll do that with Roxy too. She's 16. She just walks around. I'm like, I love you, Roxy, so much. That helps shift for me. Bring some stuff. Your cells literally respond to the words you say. And I believe for those who are neurodivergent, the intensity and the response, it's like our volume knob is turned up so loud. And how I see it is, I guess, the sense of I solved ADHD, is that we can live as if it's a disorder and we try to fix it and change it and make it go away. Or we look at what it actually is, discover it's a good news diagnosis, well, it already is discovered as a good news diagnosis, and be like, okay, if it's a good news diagnosis and everyone who gets diagnosed gets better, I simply see awareness and no longer needing to fix what's wrong with me, because I know what's wrong with me is ADHD. And as soon as I research ADHD, I get connected to tools and resources that work for me. And then I have what works for me. So how am I, if I know what works for me and I'm simply just struggling to do what I know what works for me, and there's this disconnect between knowing what to do and doing it, and I have an interest-based nervous system, and I can always do what I'm authentically interested in, how is that a problem? How is doing what I'm authentically interested in a problem? I see it's a problem inside of a world where you have to do the things for someone else. Cough, cough, wink, wink, capitalistic society. Thing is, what I like to say too is, yes, it's so easy to be hating on the capitalistic society because of the ways in which it operates, and destructive, and the ways it was rooted, and the way it was founded, and the beliefs and everything. Sorry, I've got a zit. I keep wanting to pick. I did pick it. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry. No, I'm committed. No, I'm committed. Don't look. Where I'm at now is, okay, we have this. How do we leverage it? Because I live often of like, F this. And then it eats me alive and spits me back out because it doesn't care about me. So if it doesn't care about me, it doesn't care about you. How do we operate inside of it? How do we hack this? I don't know if y'all know, I don't share this often. I went to school and almost went into coding. And then I went and I was like, I feel like I'm more social. And I just got judgy. And I loved the idea of coding. I ended up going into finance, and I loved finance. I hated words because I was able to like figure it out. Now, after discovering I have ADHD and discovering I have no authentic interest in the English language and learning what things mean and the cadence of my communication, I can't stop writing now. I just do it differently. And the permission to be a run-on sentence, quite honestly, that's the other thing. I'm a run-on sentence. I'm a stream of consciousness. I'm working on getting my mind, wherever we want mind to live, out. And if you struggle with the way that I do that, me too. It's overwhelming. There are people that can formulate what they want. I simply need to puke it out. Once I puke it out, then I have something to work with. Until I puke it out, there's nothing to work with. And what I say too, real life, whole life, how do I get it out? Because it's here, it needs to come out so that I can complete that and then get to back to like, okay, what's actually here now? Now that I got that out, puke bucket the energy and information, how do I be with what's here? And what's in that, I'll just say. What is quite honestly there is also the experience. Working on launching that. Oh, I don't think I finished the other thing. Experience. With that, working on formulating that. Oh, talking out loud. There's something else that I lost. The experience. Talking out loud. It's gone again. I might listen back and see what I missed and discovered. Okay, I feel good there. I feel good there. I feel complete. I feel like I got all my little stickies. I'm gonna read this note again to you. Okay. That's what I got so far. Good morning. Happy Monday. Today is what I call flow day. Yesterday was a root day. And what I see root is a nothing day, and how to have a nothing day to discover what you want to do on your flow day. And then when you get other stuff done, it's a bonus, and being able to start the week from a place of abundance and bonus. So I simply am working on formulating my methodology here. Laundry lounge is another thing I want to launch this week. Laundry lounge. Yeah, just simply buy some power cleans. So what I'm planning to do is record it and then getting it on the app. So then if you want to do it, then they have like 10, 15, 30 minutes so you can play and body double. And then I'll just keep creating them. So you can, body double with me on that one and simply create this online existence that you can create and see and play around with and whatever makes sense. And time is an illusion. I'm going to say that out loud. Time is an illusion. Just a second. I'm going to reply to this too. Okay. Chatting with that. As a trigger too, I think that's why I need to be with it. I was not going to be able to be here if I didn't finish this. Okay, I'm gonna finish here. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Sorry that derailed me and I need to go be with myself and just move through this. Okay, take care.